are here. We'll get you updated right at the top of the show, as it should be. Florida State just got Key West offensive lineman Christopher Otto, who wants to be a filmmaker. I like that kid. I don't know if he's any good at all, but I hope he is, because he's likable. 6'5", 285-pounder, and seemed to have a level head on his shoulders with the stuff we posted on Warchant over the weekend. I was impressed with him when his visit concluded, Tom. I don't have to say that, but because I don't really typically pay attention to what any high school kid says about anything.
That you watched any part of his visit or
was stunning
coverage of.
Yeah.
Yes, did stun me. When I came back from being away, I thought, well, what?
Yeah, like, what? Why did Jeff do that? He never does that.
How many plans fell through that you decided to check out what a 3-star offensive lineman's visit was like? But I'm impressed.
Well, if there's a chance I'm going to check out anybody's chitter chatter from the high school ranks on a visit, it's typically going to be an offensive or defensive lineman. I care about the trenches, Tom. People get all caught up in that other stuff. It's flashy. They get pumped about the skill position guys, but I want to know that we are loading up on linemen. And that's actually a theme for Florida State right now. They really are doing a very good job on the line of scrimmage. And that's important. Now, listen, there are some guys that, play wide receiver, defensive end, linebacker, defensive back, whatever it might be, that you can get excited about and that you're going to pay close attention to. And if there are 5-star kids out there that can turn your program around, or a segment group around, I should say, then, yeah, you want to get them. But more often than not, as long as we're not lagging behind in the trenches, I'm not really going to get my feathers ruffled. I'm going to be all right. It's going to be all right, guys. So I think we're okay. It's going to be an interesting next couple of years. I think college football is in store for a lot of changes, and it's been through a lot of changes. And I kind of get the sense, Tom, and this is just you and me are having a conversation today because it's a laid-back day. The weather is about to get nice and cold. It's dreary here in Tallahassee. It's signing day. There are no real big games or anything like that to discuss right now. So I think our head coach is a little bit ahead of the curve, guys. I think he's figured out a really good chemistry, sort of an alchemy here of what you need to do in the portal and what you're hoping to do with high school. I think they got to get a little bit better in the high school ranks, and I think they will, because I think the high school ranks will be more affected in terms of availability, who you can recruit from where and what high school when you sustain victories. So they had a good season this year. First one in a long time. And doing so, I think you now got to compile more wins next year and the year after, and those doors open up to you in a greater way. Now, again, there's always going to be, a situation by which you can lose a recruit with the way things are now, where the money's above board and people are able to spend. You can lose a recruit on signing day. You can lose a guy in the last 48 hours to anybody who's willing to pay above and beyond market value. And that's just, I think you got to go into signing day expecting that you're going to lose a guy, that there's going to be a guy or two that somebody else really wants and they're willing to pay more than you are. As long as you're not losing 5, 6, 7, 8 guys like that you're competitive enough in the market that way, then you're going to be all right. If you start to hemorrhage players on signing day, then yeah, you got a problem. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it, because I think they're doing a good job of identifying needs, finding guys that are proven college talents in a Power 5 level in some cases, bringing them in, getting them on the field immediately, seeing the dividends of that, and upgrading those kids' status, which then in turn upgrades your overall reputation in the portal, and that's why you sustain success. They have kind of mastered that, and it's good to be out in front of that. Now you can turn your attention, I think, as we begin to move forward, to a better balance with some high school kids as well. This is a good class. It's not an overwhelmingly good class from the high school standpoint. It's a really, really, really elite class from a transfer portal standpoint.
Yeah, that's the thing where I trust this group as currently comprised with their evaluations of what a kid can be
Mhm.
and how a kid fits into what they want to do. Like, so they can see the scheme fit, even though there might be an offensive lineman that runs a completely different scheme. Or, they do the background check. Will this particular player be a culture fit?
Mhm.
And will they have that team first mentality? Like Johnny Wilson, when he transfers to Florida State, looks like he should be a featured receiver and a red zone weapon, and he should be one of the guys, quote unquote. Sometimes, most times, a player with that profile is very tough to manage and tough to deal with. They don't want to buy in and do what is necessary for their teammates. Well, Johnny's the perfect teammate. Johnny's the guy that will drive somebody into the Powerade cooler in the sidelines in order to allow his running back to gain an extra 8 to 10 yards. So he's a culture fit plus a talent fit. And that's what they're doing very, very well in their evaluations. Where I agree with you is I'd like us to be the best at everything. And that's the pursuit. That is the pursuit.
Yeah.
And you don't let this train stop for somebody who doesn't want to be on it or can't handle being on the train. And that goes for players and coaches alike. But as for right now, where they are in the process of trying to build this thing back up, I think they're ahead of schedule. I think they're ahead of schedule, and they deserve praise for that.
Yeah, they got on schedule this year.
And then they passed it.
Yeah,
like
they were behind.
Move.
They were behind schedule. We were running late.
Correct.
We were running very late, Tom. And then we got on time, and now we're a little ahead of time. Just a little. We're a little ahead of time.
Which is kind of nuts because the reason we were late and behind is because we're on a highway that never has a wreck, and there's a 10-car pileup, and we can't go anywhere. We cannot go anywhere.
Yeah.
There is a blaze in front of us. Black smoke everywhere. We are stuck. And that was the pandemic year and the subsequent year after that, because you couldn't recruit for over a calendar year.
Couldn't bring people in. Yeah, you couldn't create relationships either. And that's really where the high school rank comes into play, unless money's being thrown at a player. Now, that's not relationships. That's just money.
And I'm not a defeatist. I know what it is to be at Florida State, and I know what it is, the standard of winning at Florida State. I'm not trying to be the guy who will always put on the rose-colored Seminole glasses. But I will say, given a set of circumstances that were put in front of Mike Norvell, the absolute rebuild he had to have in a vacuum, plus the circumstances of the pandemic, he got back on schedule quicker than I thought he would. I thought this year was 8 or 9, depending upon how the ball bounces and injury luck goes. They didn't have the greatest injury luck, and they still won 9. Should have won 10.
Well, he was able to create a balance there where they were failing in the high school ranks because they hadn't been good in years and they couldn't build it up, and you were on your third coach in 5 years. That's a tough thing to do, to try to flip those kids in your favor. He was able to do it, and we've talked about it, documented it ad nauseum, through the transfer portal, and that really changed and saved his bacon, if you will, and now he continues to show an excellence in this. I just think, look, one thing to note here, and it will happen. It probably happens next year. The company we work for on 3 is going to make sure of it because that's what they're going to do, right? I mean, that's the way you ought to view recruiting classes is the high school kids and which transfer portal kids did you bring in to help supplement those high school kids. That's how you rank classes. It's stupid to do it any other way. If a kid is going to play for a school, he is part of that class, whether he's a junior, a sophomore, a senior, or a freshman. So you would never look at a recruiting ranking solely based on, and I don't care if you have the number 1 class or the 50th ranked class. This is for anybody, any team, anywhere. You would never, at least not logically, look at a recruiting ranking and say, oh, we're 19th. If that recruiting ranking was solely based on the high school kids you brought in, because it doesn't tell the complete story. The complete story would have to include Casey Roddick, Keandre Jones, Kyle Morlock, Daryl Jackson, Jeremiah Byers, Jaheim Bell, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And there will be an et cetera,
so,
et cetera,
yes,
et cetera.
You would have to do. What, are we not going to line up with Jaheim Bell next year? Is he not going to play here? Yeah, he is. He is playing. And we've seen him kick ass in the SEC at South Carolina. I know he can play. I know he can. It's not up for debate. Whereas, I don't know, maybe Jaden Jones is good, maybe he's not. I don't know. The high school kid. We'll see. So you have to include that. It's dumb not to. All of these recruiting websites, whether it's ours or anybody else's, if you are not including the transfer portal players, are incomplete. Incomplete. It's a dumb ranking. Doesn't make any sense. You have to include those players. So if you were to do that this year, maybe it doesn't next year, maybe it doesn't the year after, I don't know. But this year it would certainly help Florida State's cause if you're worried about the number next to the name. Now, what I'd rather do currently is kind of gauge the landscape and see where this is headed, understanding we've got to do better at building relationships in high school, understanding that there are guys on this staff that I don't think are carrying their weight, while also understanding there are guys on this staff who are kicking ass and taking names. And I balance all of that to come up with an overall view of where Florida State's at. I also, guess what, look at the games and talk about where we're at on the field. Well, we're 9-3, perhaps going to be 10-3 with a bowl win over Oklahoma. We'll see. I'm going to look at those kids and say, you know what? The Bell kid and the Byers kid, the UTEP offensive lineman, man, that's good. That's good. I'm excited about those kids. Of the freshmen that are coming in that I'm excited about, you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. I really like Blake Nichelson. I think Blake Nichelson is going to get on the field sooner rather than later. Maybe not his first year, but he's going to get on the field pretty quickly because if you look at body type, you look at his film, you look at the way he plays the game, the athlete that he is, the density of muscle. A lot of times with young kids, you got to look to see, are they going to be able to withstand a college football rigor? I think he gets on the field. There are probably several kids that you could say that about. He's my guy. I like that guy a lot. I've liked him from the first time I saw him in terms of body type, movement, diagnosis, all of that.
Well, and he's got a diagnosis and a passion for the game from both sides of the football because he was a running back and an accomplished one at that. Mike Norvell likes to move a linebacker to the other side of the football for subsets. This looks like another candidate to do that. I like football sense. If it knows what the opposition, the other side of the football wants to do,
right?
It's one of the best things in scout team. If you pay attention, you're a redshirt freshman, you're serving your redshirt year as an offensive lineman, and Odell Higgins is having his guys tune you up on a daily basis. You're going to be better for going against Fabian Lovett in a scout period. It's going to make you better. Same thing here in high school. If you play both sides of the football, if I'm a linebacker, I know what an offense is trying to do to me from the offensive perspective, not just crunching film. On what offenses do. That's always valuable too. Of course, the measurables matter first.
Florida State's going to be a good football team next year. We know they're going to be good on offense. They should be pretty good on defense. I have some more question marks on that side of the ball than I do the offensive side of the ball, and I think that's going to continue to be the case. That also is an area of weakness in recruiting, is that side of the ball. So, if you're going to do the thing that I do frequently with any discussion that we have in which we're impassioned and care about the result, we're constantly having to look in areas where we're succeeding and other areas where I say routinely, 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers back to you. That doesn't mean you can't. A good example is Ron Dugans. Now, we had googly eyes at Ron Dugans. We were so upset on the regular. We're like, hey, man, it started with 2 fingers to my eyes. Let's get it together over there. You're one of us. We love you and all that. I watched you play. I was in school here. That's great. Going to need you to do better. And then the next year happened and he didn't do any better. In fact, we were losing people. And I was like, hey, man. And my eyes were the size of Texas as I looked at him going, what are we doing around here? And if I could have fired him, I would have. But alas, stay of execution. It's worked out. Good. I like Ron. I'm glad he's here. Doing well. This class helps too. And that receiving corps has produced. All right, Ron. Didn't want to fire you. Didn't want to. Might have had to. Was on the verge of.
Well, and
but
that's
worked out, and I love when it works out, especially when the guys know.
We're in mid-season. You have the head coach saying, add the days on a Monday press conference of a game week, not talking about recruiting at all, but saying that Ron Dugans has done a tremendous job. He's not just talking about, well, he had a great week of practice. He did a great job getting the guys in and out of drills. You should have seen him when they were going through the route tree.
Yeah, he went out of his way to do that.
Yes, because it is comprehensive. You had the haul of receivers in the portal last year, which is, I think, a big-time team effort. It's not just Ron doing it.
It's not Ron. It's a lot of people, right?
And then you have this high school effort, which I think is a lot more falls on. Because Mike there's got too many things he's got to do. A lot more falls on the position coach to make sure that these relationships are fortified, the communication is clear, and then also the job is closed. The deal is closed. And when you look at Hakeem and Dre Jacobs and Goldie, okay.
Yeah, you get excited about that, right? No, I agree. And that's why we come in here almost on a daily basis and talk about what we're doing on the offensive line and Alex Atkins. I mean, he's producing with these guys. They're all getting better while they're here, but then look at this class. I mean, if you're going to talk about the offensive linemen coming in and the transfer portal guys coming in. This offensive line's on the verge of being very good. Lucas Simmons, by the way, is as exciting a prospect as you got from the high school ranks. I mean, this kid is a monster. And what we think is going to, I mean, he's a 4-star offensive lineman for those that don't know, 6'7", 300-plus pounds. We beat out Southern Cal, the University of Florida, Tennessee. I don't remember who else for his services, but that was a big deal. From your neck of the woods, buddy.
No,
I had never heard of Clearwater Academy.
It's
Internet.
new. Yeah. It's new.
I was like, what the hell is that?
They only had a handful of players a few years ago, but they're rising in prominence.
Well, they got him, and he was good.
And yes, Lucas is a good get. I'm watching right now, as we must do, sometimes reluctantly.
Yeah.
On a signing day, an Instagram live feed, and I'm watching Hakeem Williams. He's got a Knoll jersey on as he's live walking around the proceedings. So unless this is a massive troll job, this just keeps on moving on, where you get another signature and another LOI in short order. FSU has not reported on that just yet, but Hakeem Williams is live at his ceremony, and he's wearing a garnet Florida State jersey.
Yeah, I was under the impression that basically he was coming and we didn't have anything to worry about today. But I am scarred like everybody else. So certainly you'd like to see that finalized so that you can breathe easy, and I think it will be. And then later on tonight, we may get more good news. We'll have to wait and see. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Hey, everybody, the perfect fireplace makes your house a home. How's your fireplace looking? Not too well? Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Actually, Hearth and Patio can help you with anything fire. Give my friends a call at Hearth and Patio. If you need new fireplace upgrade, fireplace repair, you need custom outdoor kitchen, grills, or an amazing fireplace for your backyard. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or you can visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth Patio Tallahassee. They keep the home fires burning.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-SparkConstruction.com. We conquer all creeks. We fix those darn leaks. Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Santa, we have got to go. We have never been late. It's time. The sleigh is loaded up and everything. Santa, we have got to go.
Hold on. Just 5 more minutes. Ooh. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did. Happy holidays.
There ain't no school. He's keeping you comfortable.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Feeling pretty good? I think so. I think we're good. And at some point, is a time that get finalized? We're good.
He's still sitting there waiting to sign the letter of intent, but we'll keep you updated. For the folks that are brand new to this particular version of Warchant TV, if you don't hear the sound immediately, it's because this is also a radio show on 93.3 FM in Tallahassee. Cutting off some people at the pass in the chat, because if they're new, they're like, well, why can't I hear him?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. At the beginning, you don't get to hear me because obviously the music's playing and we would get docked. YouTube would come in and go, no, there was 2 seconds of music. We want our money.
Cameron Show, why? Cameron Show, no.
Sons of bitches again.
No.
For Florida State fans or those interested driving around, here you go. Christopher Otto, offensive lineman. Edwin Joseph beat up Miami for Edwin Joseph. He's an athlete, quote unquote. Keandre Jones is the Auburn transfer on the offensive line. Casey Roddick is the Colorado transfer on the offensive line. Blake Nichelson, kid from California, is a linebacker and really, really good athlete. I think he's going to make a big impact here in Tallahassee. Kyle Morlock, tight end, 6'7" from Shorter University, Division II school where he was an All-American. A very good athlete, will be utilized immediately. Jabril Rawls is a defensive back. Daryl Jackson is a Miami transfer on the defensive line, who I like a lot. We talked about it the other day. Jeremiah Byers, UTEP offensive line transfer that a lot of people, as in everybody that plays big-time college football, wanted. Florida State got him. Jaheim Bell, number 1 rated tight end in the transfer portal from South Carolina, H-back type that you can move around and is perfect for Mike Norvell's offense. From South Carolina, he's in the fold. Lucas Simmons, the 6'7" aforementioned offensive lineman that is athletic for his size, good feet, and an elite prospect, choosing Florida State. I mentioned before, over Florida and Ohio State and many others. Good player. DeMarco Ward is a linebacker. Brock Glenn is the quarterback that they originally had, then went to Ohio State and said, I'm going to go to Ohio State. By the way, Ohio State developed quarterbacks exceptionally well. Like, I don't know, forever. Tired of watching how many good Ohio State quarterbacks there are. So when that kid said he was going to Ohio State, I thought, oh, we lost a good one. And then he came back. It was a reedy. So he was in the fold again, and we got him.
And you know that he loves you by definition, because he was let go and he came right back to you.
Came right back. Yeah. So that was good news for Brock Glenn and Florida State. The quarterback is here. Jaden Jones, defensive end. Darius Jones, defensive back. Goldie Lawrence, the wide receiver that Tom was referencing a moment ago, as Goldie. They're friends, I guess. Samuel Singleton, a running back, who is a guy who hits the hole, and that guy goes. I like it. Don't know. I was on the Chuck Oliver show earlier today, and I said, he brought him up, and I go, well, I don't care how good he is. The chances he sees the field this year are pretty much slim to none, given what this running back room is. But it's good that you got him because it certainly suggests that that's a young man who was in love with what you're doing. And the reason I say that is if you're a running back and you have an offer to go to LSU, and he did, and you have an offer to go to Tennessee, whose offense is lighting it up and was the talk of college football this year, and you have an offer to go into any of the other ACC schools, and he did, and you choose Florida State with that running back room, well, you must love the hell out of Florida State because and what they're doing there. Because there's really, I mean, that's a position I think they've got pretty well shored up. The Kirkland kid's a defensive back. Keith Sampson Jr. is a defensive lineman out of North Carolina. Tom, that is the number 1 ranked defensive lineman in the state of North Carolina, is a kid that everybody wanted, including the University of Florida. But we told Florida to suck it and got him to come to Tallahassee. Jacobs is the wide receiver. And finally, Lamont Green Jr., a legacy. His dad, I watched play here and loved watching him play. And now he's here. He's a defensive end, by the way, guys. We did get one and more than one for that matter. I mentioned Jaden Jones already. But I would just suggest that that's a good class. It's a really good class because it's a nice mixture of kids that can come in and play right here, right now, and change who you are as a team, along with prospects for 2 and 3 years down the road. Do I have a complaint? Sure. I think we got to get better on the defensive side of the ball across the board. I think we got to recruit better on the defensive side of the ball in the high school ranks especially. And I haven't been in love with what we've done in the secondary, so you know where I stand on that. But I'm pleased with today.
So in terms of the next recruiting cycle, we're talking about today, and that's going to be the main focus. I just wonder where your head's at as we move forward. Next year, in a perfect world, assuming that most things are consistent at Florida State, meaning the coaching staff is relatively intact, you don't have a mass exodus of players on the current roster. Would you rather see a greater emphasis on high school recruiting and results next year, or are you okay if the mix is always something like this, where Florida State, give or take, is a top 15 high school class, but then also turns in somewhere in the top 5 of the transfer classes in the separate rankings of the two?
I don't know how to answer that because I think it's going to change year to year. I also think the very nature of the way it's recruited is going to change. I don't think Florida State's going to successfully be able to do what they've done each of the last 3 years, really 2 years, in mining the portal to this extent. Right now, they are the creme de la creme of mining the portal and bringing in top-tier talent that is ready-made to play and getting them to mesh. I don't think that's going to be normalized. I think that the money that we're seeing spent on high school recruits right now is going to shift to portal players as proven products, and thus it's going to cost your collective a lot more to bring in those kinds of players like Jared Verse from Albany or whomever you want to name. You're going to have to start spending a lot more money than we've had to spend previous. It's going to constantly change.
So I think that's a great answer because the definition of success every year is going to be dynamic.
Yeah.
Depending upon the market and the circumstances in the market. That makes sense. But one thing I've heard you imply heavily, to the point that I'm just writing it down as law, is that we are more of a player in terms of collective game in the portal world because we want proven entities.
That is a point of emphasis, yes.
Roster retention is apparently priority 1. You just look at the Battle's End timeline and you see roster retention is up and down that list.
Dominated roster retention, yes.
But of the next priorities, is it fair to say that the portal is the place where they would rather mine first and use assets first because you have a greater, a narrower floor ceiling ratio between what it is you're bringing in? You have a better idea of who the player is.
I believe that is 100% correct this year, but I'm not sure it's always going to be the overriding philosophy. I think as you begin to guard against extremes, meaning great seasons, terrible seasons, like you got to get to a place where you have raised the floor and that a bad season at Florida State is no longer a losing season, is no longer a year in which you don't go to a bowl, no longer a year in which you're not competitive in your own conference. when we get to a place through roster retention and transfer portal mining, along with what you've brought in the high school ranks recently, when we get to a place where Florida State's bad season is 8-4, and we look at that as that's not good, guys. We got to do better. This is terrible. Once we get to that place, your high school recruiting is going to be better by definition because you are a desired locale. Why? Because you're winning. Georgia kind of recruits itself right now, but they had to get there, didn't they? Well, they got there in a hurry because Kirby Smart knew exactly what he was doing when he left Alabama, brought it to Georgia, got the police to stop arresting people for jaywalking, and Georgia now is a really good place to be, right? Recruits come there, elite-level recruits. It is a locale in which they know they can win a national championship. Bama has been doing this annually since Nick Saban arrived. They're not having to mine the portal in the same way that Florida State is having to mine the portal. And they kick ass in high school recruiting. Now, outliers exist in the current wild, wild west that is transfer portal, NIL, one-time free, go wherever the hell you want, passes. And collectives that arise out of the woodwork and desperate billionaires wanting to see their college win games. This is right now, really, I don't think tenable for college football. I don't think it will be the norm a year from now or 2 years from now. The portal's going to change. I got you. I'll mention in a moment. The portal's going to change. High school recruiting's going to change. What's allowable, what's not allowable is going to change. It's a fluid situation in college football right now, the likes of which we've never seen. The governing body of college football has thrown their hands to the air and said, we don't know what to do. We're powerless to stop it. The courts told us, as in the Supreme, we can't do anything. So they're not. And where lawlessness resides, you get really strange outlier-like outcomes until regulatory bodies come into play and say, can't do this, can do that. Everybody agree? Good. So for now, it's fluid. Hakeem Williams has signed with Florida State University. He is in the fold, your elite superstar wide receiver that many were nervous about until mere seconds ago. Can celebrate and relax. He is in.
Just watch the whole ceremony like a silent film from 1918. And now he's put on the FSU cap, walking around, enjoying the day. And this is a day to enjoy for all these kids. Some of them take it too far, but this is a culmination of a lot of work for all of them. And some of it's genetics, some of it's work. And Hakeem Williams has taken a 5-star combination of both of those two things coming up to Tallahassee at nearly 6'4". He's 6'3" already as a true freshman coming to Florida State. And he's somebody who can do a little bit of everything. This wide receiver class is sneaky good. Michael Langston can't stop talking about Dre Jacobs, Jacobs.
Really excited about it, yeah.
And Goldie Lawrence is nobody to sleep on either. This is a nice group they're bringing in this year, because if you project moving forward for Florida State, you could lose 3 or 4 guys next year for one reason or another. It could start very soon, as in this spring, because the room is so damn crowded. You could lose some of the guys that are existing on the roster now. But you've got to figure that Johnny Wilson, after this season, will be what he is, one way or the other, and he's going to go. Same thing with Micah Pittman, and this is Winston Wright's last go at it. So this is a good replenishment ahead of time. Get some of these guys in. I'm not sure if all of them are early enrollees, but you get some of these guys in, get them to work in spring camp, and then we'll see what happens during the season, if they make the rotation or not.
So I want to note something here. Good points, Tom.
You're welcome.
That, again, I've already answered this, but I see a few of these in the chat, people wondering. There are outliers and exceptions, hence my point of a radical time in college football, one of them being that none of the processes that you describe matter if it's money. If it's just money, then by definition, it's just money. You have to make choices. Do you want to recruit that way? Where is your point of emphasis? Florida State's point of emphasis with the money they're spending meaning, okay, sorry, the independent collective, with the money they're spending, is not on high school players. You are going to lose this day to the programs whose collectives point of emphasis is on high school players. Get used to that if that remains consistent. I'm saying I'm not so sure it will remain consistent. Two things will shift. One, Florida State year to year will have different priorities based on needs, based on success on and off the field. This year, and I think rightfully so, the Battle's End collective has clearly shown you that they care much more about retaining the services of their best players, say Jordan Travis and Trey Benson, amongst many others, than they do about a 4-star wide receiver from Ocala or wherever. I'm making this up. You get my point. They're not going to overspend or pay 2 to 3 times the market value of a high school player. They're not going to do it. I do not blame them for that. Miami clearly will. I don't blame them for that. Circumstances dictate this. They are in a desperate set of circumstances. You know who else is? Auburn. So Auburn, who's terrible, doesn't want to be terrible. They go out and they hire Scumbag. They bring him in to be the head coach. Now, you're talking about a horrifically poor moral character at top your plans, right? That's what you've done. You've gone out and got Hugh Freeze, walking piece of garbage on this planet, is your head coach. Okay, so clearly your intentions are known at this point. You don't care. Drugs, money, hoes, baby, you don't care. So you go get him. At that point, you've signaled to everybody, whatever it takes by any means necessary, we're going to get this turned around. We're bringing him in, and guess what? We're not stopping there. We have millions of dollars. We're going to overspend for high school players because our roster sucks and this is not tenable and we don't like losing. Fine. I don't care. That's fine. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to do it to a greater degree, even more next year. You watch. That's fine. People can do whatever they choose to do. It's now all above board. We all know. If you want to tell the world, Ruiz does on Twitter every day. Hey, come on down. I got money, baby. I'll overpay for your ass. I'll bring in point guards from K-State that nobody's ever heard of and give them $700,000. Sure. That's fine. That's fine. You can do that. What you do, though, is judged, are your needs filled? Are you winning games? Is it a sustainable model? I happen to think that this is sustainable for now. I don't believe Florida State can continue to operate in this manner long term. I do think they're going to have to see an uptick in high school recruiting down the line. Right now, they've done a very good job of figuring out that balance. They get enough good players out of high school. They're not an elite recruiting staff. That is clear when it comes to high school players, obviously, and you can be critical of that. That's fine too. But just note that that ranking next to their name today does not include all of these ready-made stars I just rattled off. The tight ends, the offensive line, the transfer portal kids that we know can play.
It's just so hard. It's like trying to catch the wind, in terms of.
Great song by Driving and Crying.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't even intend that.
Yeah, just a great song.
But it's like trying to do that because you're having a constant argument now. You're pointing to the sky or you're pointing to the earth. Is it about the transcendent or is it about the present that's in front of you? And I'm arguing about what I'm talking about is money versus being a good recruiter. What is the difference at this point? I have a hard time finding that still to be a binary argument. I think it's all blended together in that the money is going to dictate how far a relationship goes in the short term. So it's tough to assess. If you're trying to assess a position coach now by the standards of 10 years ago of how good of a recruiter is this person, that's dated. You're behind. You're so far behind. But then the other part of it is, do you want more out of the high school ranks or more out of the portal if you can get a bunch of 2- and 3-year kids? Talking about their remaining eligibilities, multiple seasons. Like there's just a philosophical war going on right now All the while, every school, it seems, is going to take a turn overspending out of desperation before they realize, because I think they're all going to come to the same conclusion. A, it's not sustainable. And B, it doesn't lend itself to a healthy working culture.
No, and I keep talking about this every day. This is,
if you do it in professional sports, you do it for a short window where you're trying to buy a title, and you know this thing is going to implode.
The
on
Rams
the other side
knew
of it.
that the plane was going to crash into the side of the mountain, but they had 1 year to make a go at it, and they got it. And it's worth it in that moment.
But that's the thing I wonder, is that coming for college football where programs are going to alternate?
Southern Cal just did it.
And put all their eggs in a basket for a short term. Well, I think they believe that they're going to create a sustainable
Oh, yeah, but they're in Los Angeles. They can do that. They have, they're sponsored by Beats from Dre. I mean, Christ, you can do that. Right.
Right. Yeah. Corporate sponsorships are going to be what helps, more than individual donors. You're going to have to find a way to, billboard or put
donors
ads
are
on
not going to be the way. You have really rich donors and guys that head collectives now that care deeply. But they know, because most of them are smart businessmen. Not all. Some of them inherited money. Some of them got lucky. Some of it is smoke and mirrors. But for the most part, people who have established large sums of money through business prowess understand that throwing millions of dollars on an annual basis to high school kids to come play football for your program is asinine and a waste of money and not sustainable. I would guess 99.9% of the guys who have obtained that kind of wealth through business acumen understand I can't keep throwing $10 million a year at high school kids because I'd like to see my team win. That's silliness. It's not going to work, but it's also not going to work because of the environment that we've talked about a lot. Again, I'll repeat. If you are a 2-year starter, a 3-year starter, a 1-year starter who committed to program A and worked your ass off to become that player, and you were given, $50,000 to go to that school in addition to your scholarship, and they recruit over you the following year with a kid out of high school that they're paying $1.5 million, who's never accomplished a thing on a college football field, what are you going to do? You're not going to sit around and wear that $40,000. You're going to walk into that office and say, I'm a 2-year starter. F that kid. I want what he has. He's never played. You know what I am. I want $1.8 million.
Or I'm going.
Or I'm leaving. And it creates extreme jealousy, and you have infighting. And that's why I don't believe that is sustainable. It works today. This day is your day. If you're any of those programs that have decided to put your point of emphasis on overspending for a high school player, again, do whatever you want to do. I'm not saying you can't do that. I am predicting, this is my opinion, that you're not going to be able to sustain that and that you are creating a problem in the locker room. So let's see if it equates to wins. Right now, Texas A&M is not winning football games. They gave Jimbo Fisher $700 billion to come coach there and then just keep re-upping him. Allegedly, they just got done spending a year ago on the greatest class ever assembled and promptly went out and won 5 games and had a bunch of kids transfer in a toxic locker room. I mean, guys, I think you're going to see this play out that way. Now, the other thing you're going to see play out this way is, again, there are rules coming. I don't know when, I don't know by whom, but this is not, for college football, a thing that can last. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm not embittered. I'm not pumping my fist at the skies. I'm not telling anybody to get off my lawn.
We've procured enough talent through
the portal.
Yes,
we've done it. We've paid for players to come play here.
And not with monopoly money.
Right. No, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm just saying they're going to have to find a set of rules that are agreed upon, if you want, by the Power Five, those playing big boy football moving forward, that is, again, agreed to by everybody in these conferences where we're all on an equal playing field. And, because can you imagine being a coach right now? You're never safe. I don't mean your job. I mean, your roster is never safe.
Correct. But they have benefited from a bubble, the likes of which we're seeing now for the players. Finally, they've benefited from that for the last 10, 15 years, the exponential increase in head coaching, coordinator, and position coach salaries. It's absurd because they didn't know where to put the money. The institutions are bringing in so much damn money, they don't know what to do with it. So they got to spend it back on the program that brings in the most of it, which is football. That's why it went back into the coaches to begin with. I wonder if at some point it does get tied to conference revenue, what you can spend on a roster. maybe it goes that way. But the thing to me
Well,
that's
then we're
most
dead.
important,
We need to get the hell up out of here.
I agree. But that's where Power 5 would need to unify and then have a payout across the board for the elite of the elite.
Right.
And that might only be 40 teams. I don't know how many it would be. To me, the important thing is if you are going to institute rules like that are going to limit what an institution can spend on a player, the deterrent has to be so strong that a booster.
Yeah, so you don't get a rogue
nature,
booster who decides this particular year we want this player and I'll give this guy an extra $1 million above and beyond what the rules state we can.
That's been in the culture of the sport for longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Much longer than I've been alive. That's been a part of what the sport is all about. So the deterrent has to be so strong, as in your TV revenue goes back to the league, the Power 5, and it's dispersed among the rest of the members. It's got to be that kind of level for this to finally be out of the game. It's always been a part of it. It's just that now it's reached its fever pitch.
Yeah, and when you're talking about billion-dollar TV deals or streaming deals on the horizon, right, multiple billion-dollar deals, it's not going to be hard to find the pool of money needed to disperse amongst teams and players and coaches, right? I mean, you can find it in lots of ways. Conference revenue, TV deals. Hell, at some point, imagine we're at a place now when they expand to go to 12 teams to the playoff. You watching these other bowls? Who the hell's watching these games when they're in 12 teams that aren't, I was saying, those bowls they're already in trouble. There's nobody in the stands at these games. Well, if you want those bowls to matter.
Except for the Cheez-It Bowl.
Okay.
It's been sold out for weeks.
Yes, it has. If you want those bowls to matter, and I do because I want more football, not less football. If you want those bowls to matter, then the best players have to play. Well, how are you going to get the best players to play in an exhibition game outside of the playoffs, right? Those playoff games are the only ones that really matter, right? So now all of a sudden you're playing in the kick the bucket bowl that nobody gives a damn about, and nobody's going to play in that game because it doesn't matter at all, except, well, that bowl is sponsored by Kick the Bucket. And Kick the Bucket says, hey, we'll ante up because this is one long advertisement. This is one long commercial for our product, Kick in the Bucket, and we'll pay for these kids to come play.
Right.
And that's how it's going to work.
We will suspend from a drone a briefcase with $1 million in it over the 50-yard line
and
for
watch
the entirety
them kill one another.
Well, for 60 minutes of football.
Right.
And then we will drop the drone into the pile of players after the game is over, and they'll already be organized in equal shares for every player. It's
all going to work. No more news, or we got good news? No, we got to take a break. I've been prattling on. Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Madison Police Department is investigating a shooting Tuesday afternoon that left one woman dead. It started with an altercation at Hilltop Apartments, which led to the shooting about a quarter-mile away at Southwest Pete Mobley Avenue around 2:30 p.m. Approximately 5 shots were fired, but it is unknown how many times the victim was shot. As of 6:30 p.m., several people of interest were in custody for questioning. The victim has been identified as 29-year-old Brianna McNeil Ross. The Tallahassee Police Department arrested a man Tuesday morning during a traffic stop after learning the car was stolen from New Orleans. A police officer conducted a traffic stop around 4 a.m. after observing a car make an illegal U-turn at the intersection of North Monroe Street and I-10. Officers discovered 28-year-old Juwan Brown had an active Seminole County warrant. While searching the car, officers found a small bag containing fentanyl and a bag of cannabis that also tested positive for the presence of fentanyl. Brown was arrested. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 55 this afternoon under overcast skies, northeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Slight chance for scattered showers. Lows dip down to about 49. Isolated thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 67. Overcast skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 53.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
Car accident? Call 777-7777 for Basic Brooks.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain, you know? You're frustrated with your job. You're aggravated. Life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. You got to get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
You know, what happened on signing day today. Florida State did end up getting that commitment from Hakeem Nicks. So everybody who was worried about that. Oh, what did I say?
Nicks.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I did that. I think that's like the third time I've done that. Who was the linebacker you used to always screw up the name for?
I would call Matthew Thomas Christian Jones. And I called Deshaun Watson Taj Boyd a time or two as well.
Yeah.
Which, not the same player.
No, not at all.
Probably not the same kind of man either.
I don't know. Taj like a massage? So Hakeem's in the fold for those that care, and most of you do if you're listening to this show. Christopher Otto, Edwin Joseph, Keandre Jones, Casey Roddick, Blake Nichelson, Kyle Morlock, Jabril Rawls, Daryl Jackson, Jeremiah Byers, Shaheem Bell, Simmons, Ward, Glenn, Jones, Lawrence, Singleton, Kirkland, Sampson, Jacobs, Green Jr. in the fold. Come on down and welcome to Florida State.
Kind of cool that they did the touch for the kids from the portal today as well. I thought that was nice. Give them their moment.
Well, I care more about those kids. They should lead with those kids. I'm here to have that fight. Those kids matter more. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
Jeff, look at this beautiful day, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little chilly. I like it. You know, I'm a colder weather guy, but I worry about it for you because you can't wear the Speedo in the cold. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to wear a Speedo in the cold.
Jeff, it's always Speedo weather, man. We can always do this. Besides, my pool, it's heated.
Which means you're insufferable in a Speedo year-round?
Cannonball!
Still gross.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts.
With another report, this
That's
time
like
Michael Langston for a linebacker. He's
Today,
Michael
more than
Langston,
ever,
the
it's
senior
important to
recruiting
save as
analyst
much
for
money
Warchant.com.
as
My
you
name
can,
is Tom
wherever
Lang.
you can.
It's a
So
busy
you or
day
someone
on
you know
signing
is
day.
active military,
And Florida State,
veteran,
for the
police
longest
officer,
time, Michael,
firefighter,
couldn't
nurse,
land a
or
blue
school
chip
teacher
linebacker
looking to
at
buy
the
a new
level
home.
like Blake Nichelson plays. Talk to us about what this particular prospect means for Florida State in the 2023 class.
Yeah, it's massive for them because early on, everyone thought he was locked to Oregon. It was looking like, hey, it's going to take a lot to get him switched over. And then they finally started getting him over for a visit, and he's like, okay, I'm starting to feel it. And then they got him over for another visit, and then you felt like FSU then took the lead. Certainly a big-time linebacker, very good in space, very good getting off blocks, as we saw in a lot of clips, throughout the year that we've shown with Blake. I mean, the guy is very good downhill runner. He tracks plays down really quick, very good speed. And I think the biggest question is going to be, how much are they going to pull him from the offensive side of the ball, because he's such a weapon on offense, kind of DJ Lundy-like, but he's probably a little bit more athletic than DJ was. And I could even keep track of how many touchdowns. I mean, it was almost like 20-something or something. I mean, he was just such a weapon for Manteca High School over there. And I think the main thing with him is just what he does after is over in contact. And I think that kind of feeds into kind of the way he plays on defense. So I think him doing things on defense kind of makes him know what somebody's thinking, when he's going against them on offense. So he's just a tremendous linebacker. He's one of the best certainly in the West Coast, or even around the country. When you think about how he gets around blocks, he gets off blocks, plays vicious, plays with a lot of fire. And I even asked Blake, like, man, you look different when you play out there. It's like there's a lot of mean, junkyard dog mentality. And he's like, I just tune out when I go into the games, like, because he just comes another person when he plays. But yeah, he just this guy's going to add a lot of physicality, certainly a lot of speed, and certainly a guy you feel that is going to get on there and getting some reps, some point this season, going in the next season. So certainly one of the biggest pickups, without question, that FSU's gotten at the linebacker position, in a little while.
So when Florida State secured this commitment, Michael, you mentioned that Oregon was there and was thought to be a player for him for a long time. This was a Mike Norvell and who combined effort? Was it Randy Shannon? Was it Adam Fuller? All of the above?
I think it was Randy Shannon. Certainly Adam Fuller is always involved when it comes to defensive coordinator. Mike Norvell, without question. But the guy that really kind of set the tone with this is Derek Ray, the GM at FSU. He had ties to the Oregon area. He previously worked at Oregon State, and he's from Manteca. So he knew the family personally. So there's a lot of good, ties there with a lot of different things, a lot of comfort level. And I think that kind of led to kind of how you saw things matriculate with the visits. So I think those are some of the main guys that were involved with Blake from the start. And not only are they getting a great player, and he's a really great player, as you can see the way he closes on everything as far as sidelines, great dude. I mean, great player. It was such a joy talking to him all through this year. And certainly I think FSU is going to get not just a great player, but also a great locker room guy that's really fits their culture, what they're looking for.
You alluded to it a little bit, Michael, and Coach Norvell has said this, that he really loves the fullback position, and he loves to go grab linebackers to go play that position.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a part of the pitch that he could play both sides of the ball, or is that just something that might develop later on down the line after he gets the linebacker position at the Power 5 level under his belt?
Oh, no, Blake said that was part of their pitch when they went in there. And then it was funny because Blake watched the LSU game, and of course DJ Lundy scored a big touchdown in the LSU game. And so he saw consistently how they were using Lundy, and it was like, yeah, I like that. That was an added bonus of something, what he liked about FSU, and it really caught his attention. And just a lot of, little things that added up. And then certainly when there was multiple visits to FSU, you really started to sense like, hey, they're going to get this kid.
It's an on-3 consensus 4-star linebacker for Florida State. He's an athlete on top of just being a linebacker. Big news for FSU here. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to Warchant TV. It's absolutely free, and stay tuned to us all day long for the best of the early signing day coverage here on Warchant TV.
So you love your driver, but you loved another driver.
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Are you ready for the holidays? Painting that one room or hallway is easier than you think, especially with a paint that applies easily and touches up great. That's why Benjamin Moore is perfect for putting those finishing touches on your home. The holidays will be here before you know it, but we can help you make your interiors look like new this winter at Epps Decorating Center. Our experts can help you find the perfect paint and paint supplies for your next holiday project. Find a location near you at EppsDecorating.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Couple more guys, right? We're waiting on. But the biggest names are pretty much in the books. And for Florida State, Hakeem Williams is in. And that is important because after last year's debacle, folks didn't feel good no matter how many times it looked like we were in good hands when it came to the recruitment of Hakeem Williams. They still wanted that moment. That moment is indeed necessary because we've seen it go south before at the last second, and now it is in. Considered to be arguably one of the best 3 or 4 receivers in the country, Hakeem Williams, a 5-star player, is in the fold, and that is what you wanted to know. He's a top 30 player in the nation. That's a great get, and really, really important. And I'm going to talk a little bit here about this. Had that gone sour, because people will look at the Keldrick Falk situation, Tom, and think, oh man, this is bad. This 2 years in a row we lost a guy. Well, you're gonna lose guys. You're gonna lose guys. There are dudes, and then there are dudes. Keldrick Falk's not Hakeem Williams. This would have been a bad precedent. Had Hakeem Williams flippity dude today and gone somewhere else, there would have been a very different talking point for me because of the effort that was put in to procure his services. And Florida State's collectives, if you'd like, obviously are not putting the point of emphasis on high school players. It's player retention, right? Roster retention we've talked about. It's transfer portal players that can plug and play and fill needs right now. Those are 1, 2 in priority, meaning money going to those 2 things. Make sure you get Jordan back. You got to pay him what he's worth in that situation. You got to, everybody else that's signed with the battles in. We know who they are. Benson being another big one, right? We might see Jared Verse come back. Pretty penny to keep Jared Verse, one would think. Okay? So clearly they've emphasized that because they want to win right now. They want to win right here, right now. They won 9 games this year, could win 10 if they win the bowl game. They want to win 10 or more next year. They want, because that's going to change everything about your outlook moving forward.
It'll become cheaper to go get the same player because of your proven success.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So they wanted to do that, and they wanted to make that kind of a splash. To say they didn't want or don't care about losing Keldrick Falk today to Auburn is not true either. But he is a high school recruit. I'll grant you, a really talented young man whom they wanted in the fold and, for a long time thought they had. But if you read the tea leaves in recruiting, this is where the more things change, the more they stay the same. He's an Alabama kid that you're trying to extract from that state to bring to Tallahassee, Florida. Most of the time, if one of the big 2 in Alabama wants you to stay in Alabama, they're willing to do what it takes and can put all kinds of pressure on you and family members and others to stay in the state of Alabama. So Auburn, unfortunately for us in this situation, New head coach coming off a bad season, riled up boosters and people in a collective that really want to see this thing get flipped are willing to pony up more than we are. That kid takes it on down the road. No hard feelings. Best of luck to you, young man. Happens. Whereas Hakeem Williams, in this state, we're going to war with Miami and Florida, and he's a kid we cared to win. Cared to win in a way, if you can get my drift, more than we did some of the other guys. Had that gone south, I think there would have been long-term problems, ramifications for that. So if you're going to breathe a sigh of relief and be happy about anything today or even upset about things today, just keep in mind the guy from the high school ranks that you had to get just signed. You got him. That was going to be a very important litmus test for interested parties. And so I think, and listen, right? This is all new. So where you spend your money, how you spend your money, how much of it you assign to roster retention or whatever it might be, portal players, you got to see a return on your investment. That's true across the board, whether it's a high school kid, whether it's a portal kid, whether it's a kid on your own roster, you got to have a return on your investment for all these people that have decided to jump into the game. And that's any booster, that's any alumnus, that's any collective. You got to see results. You got to be able to show what it is that you're spending money on and why. And so had they not got Hakeem Williams, from my understanding of things, from what I've witnessed from afar and kind of conversations I've had, that would have been bad news. So I was holding my breath a little bit, Tom.
Well,
a little bit.
The sacrifice I made for you was that I watched 20 to 25 minutes of IG Live. You didn't have to.
No.
Because they went through, as they do, most high schools do this, they announce every player before the highest ranked player because the coaching staff and the team and the program wants to shine as much of a light on everybody else as they can. Like, I get it. That makes sense. But when you're actually trying to carry an event and you're trying to carry a Florida State broadcast, that is decidedly inconvenient. Very inconvenient because it's a 1:00 announcement, doesn't happen until about 20 of 2.
Right.
So
yeah,
you're just all kind of frozen and you're waiting for it. That's all good. But I do want to go back to last year real quick. One of the things I love about this gig and the lane that you and I get to drive in, of course, you always drive. I'm in the passenger seat. But the lane that I love we get to drive in is we're part media member, part alumni fan, part observer guy. Like, we could put on multiple hats and it's okay. And that's fun because last year I got a real kick out of not the Travis Hunter part of the day.
No, not much of a kick there.
But when Armella says, I got to think some things over, and Armella was supposed to sign after lunch, right around lunchtime, whatever it was, and said, I don't know. I got to think about some things very seriously. And then about 5 hours later, or 6 hours later,
he thought about him and come on down.
And I just wonder what the hell happened. And that's what made me chuckle. What could have possibly happened between the time that Hunter decides to go elsewhere and you have second thoughts and you say, you know what? I was right the first time. I was correct. Florida State, I just needed a couple extra hours. No phone calls came in. I promise you. There were no deals made.
Sure.
I just needed a little bit more time. That makes me laugh. But I'm going to apply the quiet part out loud for this class. If Falk does not make it to Florida State, and he doesn't, he signs at Auburn, that means, in theory, you probably have some resources you can allocate somewhere else.
That is correct.
And if
perhaps in the transfer portal for a proven defensive end.
Or perhaps for retention of one that's here in case you just need to put a little sweetener on the
top.
So
are you trying to argue that Jared Verse today celebrated when Keldrick Falk said, I'm going to Auburn?
What I'm saying is if he needed a reason to celebrate because he wanted to stick around, he got one. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't need a reason. Maybe he has enough reasons to stick around. Maybe he already did before today even started. I'm not sure. But what I am saying is if the young man wanted to leverage the situation, he's got a little bit more of it today. He's got a little bit more today. Not that Falk was going to be a plug-and-play player, but I think they thought he was going to perhaps make the two deep like Patrick Payton did this year.
Yeah. Well, and, they for those that wondering, because I've seen it brought up, what are they going to do now type stuff, ... at the position. They did sign 2 defensive ends, Jaden Jones and Lamont Green Jr., the legacy I mentioned earlier. They did sign 2 defensive ends, and you've got perhaps your best defensive end returning aforementioned Jared Verse. So,
and if he does, then another year of development for Patrick Payton. That'll be a guy to watch very closely over spring and fall to see if he can put some more density on.
yeah,
But you combine that
he's already talented.
with McClendon. I think, is Briggs coming back for year 92? I forget. I don't know if he was one of the Battle's End signees or not. But you at that point, with even just Jaden Jones and Lamont Green in the fold behind them, and maybe Byron Turner turns into something, I don't know. You don't necessarily have to go back into the portal this offseason for a defensive end if Jared Verse returns. It seems like you have enough of what you need at that position for this upcoming season.
I think I think one thing to note with defensive ends in particular, Tom, while we're on the subject, I mean, you just saw Florida State this past year and the year before fill that need with a proven player. And Jermaine Johnson was a first round draft pick. That is an elite player. That's not a nice player. That's an elite player. You went and brought that in. Jared Verse right now is contemplating going to the pros because he's projected in some circles to be a first-round draft pick, if not second-round draft pick. That, again, by definition, is an elite player, not a nice player. That's an elite player. You can go and get defensive ends that have proven themselves at the collegiate level of the elite variety, not just average or nice fill-ins, elite players at that position. It's proven. We've done it twice. If you have to do it again, maybe it happens again this year. We'll see. I don't know, but it's possible. And for the successes they've had, I believe portends of future successes at that position in particular. Maybe not everywhere, but in particular, I do think that position now, you've got tangible evidence that when a kid comes here, he's developed and his profile is improved at the next level where ultimately he wants to go. Also, we've proven now, added bonus that Jermaine Johnson didn't get, but he's partly the reason that we are good, and I'll forever be grateful for the singular season he played here. In addition to proving that we develop those players and encourage growth and leadership and all the things that Jermaine Johnson said he wanted in addition to playing time, draftability, all of that, right? Now you got wins. So you have proven success in the portal at the position and kids getting drafted, and now wins. I think the only thing that will change regarding that caliber of player that we're talking about and seeking to bring them in areas in which you whiff moving forward. Again, this is a very malleable situation. It's fluid. Will be the price tag. You are not going to get, now that it's out there, now that's a real thing, now that we've seen teams, programs throw crazy money around, kids know it's available. It's not like, maybe it is. We don't know. No, then now they know. It's out there. You're going to have to spend more. You're going to have to pay more moving forward next year, year after, year after. And that's where the argument comes into play, Tom, that it's not sustainable per se. We've capitalized in this window better than most, almost better than all. But I do think it's fair to say they're going to have to get better with the high school recruiting because I don't think you're going to be able to move along the way we are and operate in the same manner. The next time a defensive end, Jared Verse's caliber or Jermaine Johnson's caliber, decides to put their name in the transfer portal, I don't know what the market's going to dictate, but I can guess. I can tell you that it's going to be in the neighborhood, especially if he's a 2-year player, $1 million, because high school kids are getting that in some cases. So this is all fluid. It's going to change. For now, Florida State has really capitalized on it, and that's a bravo to the staff while also admitting they got to do better moving forward in the high school ranks.
Well, the question is, where does the market settle on both of those, in both of those particular sub-markets? So if the player market is comprised of high school prospects and transfer portal prospects, where do each of those price tags go? Does, not to get all economics on everybody, but does the mean cost come down in high school because it's going to go up in the transfer portal? Do both of them go up at the same time because we're going to live in this bubble for another 5 years? Does the bubble burst in 2 years? I think it's hard to say because everybody's going to take a turn at being desperate. So yes. I feel like the bubble is going to extend out longer because there are going to be in each region of the country, at minimum, a couple of schools that are going to spend way more than they should in order to get a player. It happens in free agency and professional sports all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a franchise that's been a laughingstock for a long time and you are trying to court the top free agent on the market, are you going to have to spend more than the best team in the league? Yes, a lot more than the best team in the league with the best culture and the best. If you are in the middle of nowhere as a program, be it an NFL team or a college team, are you going to have to spend more to get a kid to come live in the Midwest and the Southeast
or Green Bay?
You're going to have to. Yes, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's where I get nervous about the bubble being extended indefinitely, because a lot of these programs, especially in the mighty SEC, are going to take turns being desperate.
Right.
And they're going to overpay every year. So where do you fall in the pecking order?
Well, this just falls into the category, Tom. This particular element of recruiting or major college football in general just falls in the category of the conversation we're having that's omnipresent in the back of all of our minds, and that is, when the hell can we get out of this godforsaken conference, because we're never going to have enough money for this or this or this, by way of comparison to the SEC and the Big Ten specifically. Those two conferences with their TV deals are going to win every important battle if they want to and are desperate enough if it comes down to finances, whether that is for an assistant coach, the next great coach, or a player. You're just done. You can't win if you remain in this also ran conference with the payouts being what they are. So just name something else in the world of college football that once again falls into the same category of concern that we have about everything. You need more money to keep up with the Joneses. You're competing to win national championships at Florida State. So that's why yesterday I was having a conversation with Corey when we were doing Seminole headlines, and he was like, well, most teams can't recruit this level of player or have a depth of talent like this level of player. And he said, except for, like Georgia. I'm like, wait. That's 40 years Florida State's been a vastly superior program to Georgia. We didn't even consider Georgia. They're nobodies until the last 2 years. All right, let's say for 1980. All right, so, okay. The standard is that we get that kind of depth. The standard that we're aspiring to and holding people accountable for is to get those players that are 4 and 5 stars or elite level portal players that are proper pieces of depth. But you can't, I think, reasonably expect that to happen unless you have the same funds as the SEC schools or the Big Ten schools. Well, so the problem is, that standard is in the minds of every fan and alumnus and booster that we have. We don't want to lower the standard. Why would we? I mean, again, you're not a victim of your success. You want to sustain and improve upon, right? But logically, those of us rooted within reason that are fair-minded understand it's not a fair fight. Now, you don't want to go on and whine about it and bitch about it ad nauseum, but it is reality. People like to say things are excuses as opposed to reasons. Well, they're wrong. That's lazy. Those aren't excuses. Those are real reasons. If I've got $5 million and you got 40, I'm going to lose the battle when it comes down to money. Period.
Yeah, we've got the same IQ, and I'm raised in absolute poverty, and I don't have a good school system. And
good luck to you, buddy.
But we've got the same IQ.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Right?
Yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you are. And that's not an excuse. That's a reason.
I'm a lazy loser.
Right. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, buddy.
Yeah.
But the point, that's the point.
The thing, I think the good news is, in the interim, the good news is how many NFL draft picks were on the roster this past year?
None.
Okay. There are going to be a few.
Oh, you mean I thought you meant this upcoming draft.
No.
We're not going to have anybody.
Well, if Jared comes back, yeah. And
if Jared comes back, we're not having anybody drafted.
But let's just say that the guys who could leave did.
Okay. A couple.
2 or 3.
2 or 3 at most.
And yet,
they're good. We got a lot of good college football players and a couple of elite college football players.
It's not crazy to say that you're the ball bouncing a couple of ways from being in a conversation for the playoff this year with that team in November. Well, throughout the month of November, we would have talked about, they're in position to win the AC. I mean, they could be the 4th team.
Yeah.
Would we have expected them to win the national title? No. But they could have been a playoff contender with 2 to 3 NFL draft picks on the current roster playing meaningful snaps.
They're doing more with less currently, and aided by the portal and their success in it. But I would tell you, Tom, that is not sustainable. You're going to have to do better.
I'm glad that it's in
over
them.
time.
I'm glad that it's in them.
Me too. No. They've worked hard and they've figured out a way to offset where they're not strong. And that's by going out and filling those holes on the roster with known commodities and convincing them to play here as opposed to wherever else they could have played. I mean, hell, half these guys that we talk about, that we get excited about, that UTEP kid could have gone anywhere in the country. He was wanted by every big-time school in the Power Five.
Oh, it's time to start having the rainy day fund overflow for whoever replaces Alex Atkins.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because, I mean, people already knew about him, took notice of him before this.
Really
this
do
season.
now, yeah.
Now after this portal haul, come on now.
Well, and also just look at the development. We're not even talking about development. And that is another area in which, especially on offense, Florida State's done a really good job. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Santa, we have got to go. We have never been late. It's time. The sleigh is loaded up and everything. Santa, we have got to go.
Hold on. Just 5 more minutes. Ooh. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief, they help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did. Happy holidays.
This is Sister Dot Brown, reminding you to tune in every Sunday morning from 9 to 11 for good gospel music here on 93.3 every Sunday morning. Dot Brown.
Hey, everybody, Greg Tish here, and 'tis the season for coffee. Whether you'd like to order some for yourself or for your family and friends to give them that perfect holiday gift, head over to grassrootscoffee.com. Look at their amazing coffees that they have. You can choose your blend. You can choose the style of roast. They will roast it up the same day and get it mailed out to you. Also, let me recommend one thing. Limited edition, the Christmas blend. This is the perfect coffee to have while opening gifts Christmas morning. This medium dark roast features hints of nuts and cocoa with a jolly touch of citrus. This is available for a limited time only. Also, that coffee drinker in your life, why not get them a subscription to where every single month they will have fresh, local grassroots coffee delivered to them. Visit grassrootscoffee.com and order yours today. Grassroots Coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, locally loved. Grassrootscoffee.com. Make every day a holiday with Grassroots Coffee.
And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And Joseph went up to Bethlehem with Mary, his espoused wife, who was great with child. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. But Mary kept all these things, and pondered them in her heart. This Christmas, may your heart be filled with the faith and wonder of that first Christmas night, now and throughout the new year. Brought to you by Dr. Scott Pliskin at Mahan Animal Clinic on Mahan Drive. Call 402-0557. Whitten Glass on South Monroe. Since 1945. 850-222-5781. And by Sellers on Capitol Circle Northeast. Your first choice in quality, affordability, and customer satisfaction. Call 850-656-8453.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Well, tomorrow at the conclusion of the show,
It's like a full 2 minutes, everybody.
we can send the TV audience off to the holidays.
Take it on down the line.
And then we'll crank it for ourselves and the people of Tallahassee.
I'll let you know right now, everybody, tomorrow's show, when it ends, as we're listening to Billy Squire, I'm cracking a beer for Tom and I. So it's going to happen.
2 straws?
Like the spaghetti. What you eating tonight?
I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
You got me thinking about dinner. You just mentioned it a moment ago.
I did during the break.
Been an exhausting day. A lot to cover. A lot of things to talk about, man.
Look, man, we're not martyrs here. We're paid well to do what we do.
Yeah.
But it is a long day. Yes. And it, last night, the night before is usually a little bit later of a night. So it's usually a special occasion. And I don't know what it's going to be. But I was leaning maybe a nice steak. I don't always eat red meat. In fact, I don't often eat red meat, but a steak sounds pretty good right about now.
Yeah, and when you are particular as to when you decide to go after a steak, it makes it all the more rewarding. Ryan, thank you. Yes, lavash.
The penne alla vodka.
Oh, man. God, that sounds good, too.
Oh, there you go.
Go see my man, Eddie.
Go get some
bumpers.
Yeah,
I might do it.
I could get the, I always want to call it the Uncle Rico, but it's the Uncle Sal.
What college football do we have on tonight? What bowl game is set to take place tonight? Do we have a good one? We've got Western Kentucky, and
I know that yesterday was the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. That doesn't do us any good today. That was San Jose State and somebody. We got Western Kentucky and USA.
I'll be watching, buddy. Can't wait. Yeah, this is, you get the bowl games, you start getting desperate, you realize, and it's all winding down. I'm a little worried about things. Here we are, but it is
9 p.m. kick. Got to keep it together.
Golly, you're right. Western Kentucky and South Alabama. Tomorrow we'll get Baylor and Air Force at the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Friday, a little Louisiana and Houston. Also Wake Forest and Mizzou. Saturday,
Look, I get that Wake has been a torchbearer for the ACC, whether we like it or not.
Whooping our ass.
But that is the same class. I love that. They're in the same weight class.
Yeah.
Mizzou to the SEC is Wake in the end. You know what? Mizzou's won a couple of East Division titles in the last 10 years.
When they first got there.
They did.
They'll never win another one, but yes.
That's a fair fight relative to the conference.
Well, then Saturday, Tom, after you watch that thrilling matchup at the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl down in Tampa, you can get up bright and early and be like, all right, my day is going to be get some stuff done right before Christmas and then settle in for Middle Tennessee and San Diego State.
Well, that's an NFL triple header as well. On
Saturday. Well, then
Saturday.
you won't be watching that at all,
Yeah, watching the Vikings game.
Are they just every Saturday now? Every Saturday now? Well, after that last one, that had to be a ratings bonanza. That was incredible. The NFL last week won across the board. The NFL is like, nope, still bigger. It was unbelievable.
This is the video medium, sir.
It was so impressive, the NFL last week. You're like, what is this? Look at this Jacksonville-Dallas game. Look at this Detroit Jets game. Look at this. It was awesome. Just every time I looked up, I was like, this is incredible.
Blazing Saddles. I wish I had the drop.
I mean, tell me you weren't riveted last week. That was nuts. I loved it. Buffalo, Chicago. Well, this time around, when you're watching Saturday and Sunday this week, guys, holy moly. Somebody's going to die on the field this weekend. It's minus 30 in some cases. You're going to have games affected by like 40-mile-per-hour winds and a temp of minus 18. Oh, that's almost unfair to ask these guys to play. But, hey, get out there. I'm watching.
Look, if it's windy here this weekend, the wind chill will bring it down to the single digits.
I saw that. I saw this morning, and I did smile while my wife had a look of great concern on her face. I was like, look at that. They're talking about a wind chill in Tallahassee of 13.
Is that right? Legitimately, that's what it was?
Legitimately, yeah.
Man.
It's 13. 13, buddy. Ooh. Eric says Texas Roadhouse, Tom.
I always equate that place with Ted's. Is it close?
You mean in quality?
Yeah. I've never been to either. They're kind of in the same place.
Yeah, you've never been to Ted's?
No.
Now, I don't want to give free advertising for people, but I like Ted's. It's good stuff.
Of course you do. You pay the extra $9 a month for the SEC network because you wanted more Ted's.
I want more Ted's. Till the land. Oh, man. All right. Wait, exhale there. That was a nothing segment. I just wanted to. Woo! Oh, hey, thanks. Where are we at? I got to catch up. I'm so far behind.
We got a couple to catch up on, too.
Jacob writes, I much like Falk care deeply about relationships, and I like Falk care deeply about the relationship I have with my bank account the most. That's from Jacob. Jacob, I said this yesterday and the day before when we began to get a little nervous about where that was headed. I was like, oh, but if it's about relationships, guys, the way he's repeatedly told everybody, he got nothing to worry about. Although I have a hunch those relationships are not as solid as we once thought. Z-Chan. Woo! Hakeem on lock. Awesome class. Let's take care of Oklahoma next week. Then we can start getting ready for next season. Merry Christmas, Warchant family. Merry Christmas, Z-Chan. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Marcus writes, gentlemen, I appreciate all the coverage you do on this busy day. Much Christmas love to you and yours. Happy belated birthday to Director Matthew. Yeah, absolutely. I just dropped the ball on that one. But Tom tells me with 7 seconds left in the show, what do you want me to do? I should put it in my phone. I'm awful about that stuff.
Yeah, I lean on the wife heavily for information on
You know
birthdays.
what I do when I screw it up like that and I forget that, like, on the day of your birthday, I forgot it was your birthday until I was laying in bed that night. Then I forgot it was Matthew's birthday yesterday. You know what I do? I blame her. When I get home, I go, would you stop dropping the ball? You're making me look bad. You should have written this on the calendar already. How many times do I have to tell you this? Douse. Yeah, that's what I do. I blame my wife. She looks at me, really? I'm supposed to know your best friend's birthdays and put it on the calendar? Yes. Yes, you need to do that. Let's go. Step up your game.
Look up their voter registration.
I mean, you know I'm not on Facebook. Get on Facebook and find out when the hell these people were born and put it on the calendar. Let's go.
Oh, I know you're on Facebook. Your burner account. You've liked all of these amazing pages where people just get together and complain about the nature of society. I know that's what you do.
That's,
you like
what, that's what I do.
You ghost post all weekend long.
You know what I do all weekend long? I watch specials on investigations into murder. I cannot help myself. There's like 19 different really quality shows on these days, like whatever, another 48 or whatever it's called, or I watch all those.
It's time for Tub Talk, brought to you by Pinch A Penny Pools and Spas. Buy yourself the hot tub you've always wanted at the price you've always wanted from Pinch A Penny on Greer Street. Now it's live to the tub.
Well, I'm going to give Tom a little bit of credit. I'm not talking about T. Lizzie, but Ortner asked a question earlier today as I sink down in the tub that I was thinking about, and that is that it's the right way to ask the question, first of all. He said, Jeff, what position coaches have the best opportunity to improve? And I have to give him credit for the way that question was worded. Well, I think you guys know where some of my concerns lie when it comes to this coaching staff.
Certainly not with Pinch and Penny.
No, Pinch and Penny's great. All good. Go get you a hot tub. Hurry up. You want to get this hot tub as soon as possible because it is going to be really cold starting like tonight and tomorrow, and you want to get in that tub and chill. So I think there are on-the-field coaches that can improve, that have an opportunity to improve, and there are guys that you are not seeing behind the scenes that could improve based on recruiting and player development. Those two areas specifically. Now, there's on-the-field stuff where I go, that could be better as well. And I would say that my concerns about Coach Woodson remain. He's a guy. He's not the only guy. He's a candidate to improve. He's got an opportunity, Tom, that sits before him.
It happened for Ron Dugans. There is precedent here.
Somebody pointed that out earlier. I think it was Briley. It might have been R. Wilmer. I don't know who it was, but somebody in the chat did note that here I was awfully hard on Ron Dugans, and I was. I'm not running from that. For good reason, I was critical of Ron Dugans. He was failing us miserably. And then he wasn't. That's how it works, guys. If you have an opportunity and you seize said opportunity to not suck anymore, you will be praised for doing so. In fact, you will be lauded, held on high, spotlight shown. All of it. But while you're sucking, I'm going to point that out as well. This kind of suckage will not stand, man. And there's some of that going on with this staff. Now, there's no perfect staff. I'm sure people at Georgia are pissed at a particular coach. I'm sure every week if you go on their boards, they're like, Larry Smith sucks. I've been telling you guys for 2 years, Larry Smith is garbage. And Larry has to sit over there and wear that. He's paid handsomely to do so.
That can't be his real name.
Do better, Larry. Damn it, man. We're able to overcome it because of our elite talent and the other coaches on this staff, but Larry Smith is killing us. Am I the only one?
Jeff, your blood pressure, you're in a tub. You got to be very careful here.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's like there's some guys where you're like, okay. You know what I did notice? And this is something to point out big picture-wise, and, all jokes aside here. It's incredible how many people we now have on this staff, if you will. I mean, have you gone and looked at all of the names?
Oh, just the directory? The size of the organization?
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
It's changed dramatically.
It's freaking modern. It's what it should be. It should be even better. It should be even more wrinkles.
I would tell you that I have to give credit. I don't know that I've had lengthy conversations with this individual. And no, I'm not going to knock anybody. This is not you. I saw you get nervous.
I was bracing.
No. I don't know everybody over there. I run into a ton of people over there. We all do, right? When we go over to cover practice, you run into them at events and things like that. And I don't always remember, like if you're Miss Hamill and you're the director of performance and nutrition, I don't always remember your title. I might be like, I'm assuming she's doing a good job. I don't know. I'm not qualified to comment on that necessarily. But I can't always remember everybody's job or names. I'm terrible about that too, because you see so many people. And had I known that our assistant athletics director / facilities and event management name was Titus Queen, I would have been like, I got to talk to that guy at length because that's an awesome name. That's a professional wrestler. Titus Queen is either kicking your ass in the octagon, or he's a defensive lineman, or he's a WWF era wrestler.
I mean, there is Titus O'Neil, and there's
Right.
NFL player, former LSU Tiger, Patrick Queen. So there you go.
Right? See what I mean?
Both fearsome individuals.
That's what I say. Like just the name, like for example, certain names that get what they like. That makes sense what they are. Josh Storms should be the strength and conditioning coach. Like I don't know what else he would be.
A meteorologist.
He should be in charge of whooping ass. Like if there's a title, gonna whoop some ass. Josh Storms. Oh, I'll give him a call.
Yeah,
right. That's what it should be.
He also should not be 5'6", which he's not.
He's not.
He's a
very,
large,
very
human.
large human being.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a big guy who has the right name for his job. I would tell you that given the look of certain guys, when you walk past them, you're disappointed when you find out their name is like Chad. You're like, Jesus, Chad. That's a shame.
I think Gordon in the chat is referring to the fire pit being good for, the weather. But I think fire pit is actually a great nickname. I was combining what you were saying with what is being said in the chat. Like, what if fire pit
was your name?
Well, I mean, if you're a trainer, if you're a strength and conditioning coordinator and, your name is Titus Fire Pit Smith. Like, oh, man,
well, that's a hell of a nickname.
Yeah.
I'd want to know how the hell you got that name. What happened?
You wouldn't want to be his player.
Oh, Fire Pit's pissed at you, Jamie. You better get down there quick.
We're benching in saunas. We're doing the bench.
Oh, Fire Pit's at it again.
275 in the sauna.
Let me do this because I'll forget. Today is a day that has been really focused on recruiting, as it should be, and we've talked about it exhaustively, and it's good. I'm glad we did, and I've enjoyed it, and I also enjoy the varied opinions because it is again, really weird time in college football, and we don't know certain things. We're projecting, we think, we're paid for opinions, we give them, all of that's true, but admittedly, there's room in there to watch these things play out, and maybe it goes a different direction. I don't know.
Are you getting out of the tub? What's going on here? Sounds
no,
serious.
Before I get out of the tub, I want to make mention of something that is serious. While I'm in the tub, Pitch Penny has told me I could be serious or laid back. I can be hanging out with my friends at Tallulah while we're in the Pitch Penny hot tub, or I could just be talking about something that's bigger than that. Life
contemplative tub time. That's a thing.
Okay, well, this is my contemplative tub time right now with Pinch Penny. You and I. Sometimes it happens 2 times a week. Sometimes we go 6 months without it coming up. Our age difference plays a part in the way we view today's news about Hall of Famer Franco Harris. And so I will tell you that the 13-year-old me remembers the dominance of Franco Harris and remembers the era of dominance in which he played. And it was a pivotal time in the National Football League. In retrospect, I could not have known it at that time. But if you think about where the NFL is today, there are several factors that get us there. This behemoth that is this television product every weekend that we watch that dominates the ratings. It began in the 70s. The 60s had Joe Namath, and you can go back and find particular players that moved the needle in the world of the National Football League. But nobody moved the needle the way that the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers did in the 70s. That rivalry is the reason that those 2 franchises, I might add, are still the 2 most popular franchises in the NFL. For people of my age, I'm 51. I think about the Steelers in a certain way. I think about the Cowboys in a certain way. Well, that was born out of my youth, of watching those 2 teams go to war in multiple Super Bowls and play games that will be etched in my memory forevermore. And most of us NFL fans from that era can name the stars like they're our own children. And they largely played for the Steelers and the Cowboys. There were some with the Raiders and the Packers and teams, but those 2 teams, and you go back to the 72 Dolphins, I know as well, and all of that, but it's the Steelers and the Cowboys. And Franco Harris, it can be argued, was, along with Bean Joe Green, Roger Staubach, players like that, I'm talking about 2 different franchises, they were the stars of the era. And Franco Harris, when he retired from football, was the 3rd leading rusher in the history of the game. He was a dominant player. And I was sad when I saw that today, but also the circumstances are awful. That drives me nuts. Not how he died, but that he died before the anniversary this weekend in which they were paying tribute and homage to him. He was going to be there this weekend for the Immaculate Reception, the anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. He was at the stadium yesterday to go through rehearsal. That almost made me cry. That broke my heart this morning when I saw that. That's awful.
And you were the Cowboys guy.
Yeah, I hated the Steelers, but I respected the hell out of those guys, all of them. Whether it's Mean Joe Green or Lynn Swann or you name it. But Franco Harris, especially. He was a brute, man. He ran over people. He ran around people. He did everything. He was a hard-nosed, lunch pail guy. He fit the city. He was exactly what the city was at that time. Show up for work, man. That was that guy. And Rocky Bleier, you can go on down the line. I can name that whole team. That guy was phenomenal. And, you know, when you're a kid, when you're 12 or 11 or 10 and you're watching football and you're getting into it and you love it, if that guy is beating your team or is a reason that your team has a chance to get beat, you hate him. You hate him. But nobody ever really hated Franco Harris. Nobody. Because there's never been anybody that I've ever heard when referencing Franco Harris and talking about the player or the man that didn't have something great to say about him. Nobody. I've heard other things about all the other stars of that era. At least one or two people that could tell you, he could be a little ego. He could be a little prickly. He could be, you know, aloof. Not Franco Harris. Nobody. The first thing you hear people say about Franco Harris when they talk about him, besides his play on the field, was that he was the nicest guy you'd ever meet. Nicest star you could ever run into. You would never know. If you ran into him and you didn't watch him play, you were on a plane, you sat next to him, and you had no idea what he had done for a living, he would never tell you that he was a Hall of Fame running back. It wouldn't come up. He was that kind of humble. So, sad news today to see that Franco Harris passed away 2 days before the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, which we've all watched on a loop a million times over. And you know what bothers me about that loop? You can never see the point of the ball.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't know. We'll never know. The Raiders will tell you he didn't catch it. Franco never gave it away either. He never told anybody. He would just say, catch. I don't know, did he catch it or not? I don't know. We'll never know. There's no angle. You can watch it, and they've tried, like there's a Zapruder film, they've tried to break that thing down. They can't, the tip of the ball, you can't see. It's a hell of a play. Rest in peace, Franco Harris. Come back, wrap it up.
Your local news now.
Overnight cold weather sheltering will be provided in Tallahassee Thursday through Sunday for those experiencing homelessness. It will be offered at the Kearney Center located at 2650 Municipal Way if needed. Overflow sheltering will be provided. The City Star Metro bus service will also provide transportation. For those needing the service, call or text the Big Bend Continuum of Care Street Outreach Coordinator at 850-759-1895. The University System of Georgia is following Governor Brian Kemp's lead in banning the use of TikTok, WeChat, and Telegram on computers and phones owned by the system or any of its 26 universities and colleges. State-owned devices can only be used to access programs for law enforcement and security purposes. Students, faculty, and staff can still access the sites on their own computers and phones as long as those devices weren't used to access personal or sensitive information related to university business. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Daytime highs approaching 55 this afternoon under overcast skies, northeast winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Slight chance for scattered showers. Lows dip down to about 49. Isolated thunderstorms likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 67, overcast skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 53.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF. Your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, what's happening, Jeff?
It is always good to see you, Eddie. Had a long day, my man. I was thinking about it. Gordo's was the place to ease the pain, you know? You're frustrated with your job. You're aggravated. Life's beating you down. Maybe your wife's speaking. Got to get out the door.
You know what? Here at Gordo's, man, we welcome everybody. Disgruntled wives, disgruntled husbands, kids running away from home. We'll even give that kid a job. Send them our way.
Go make some money and eat delicious food at Gordo's. It's perfect.
And have a damn good time doing it.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We could talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Did you see the quote?
No. What do you say?
Oh, buddy. We built this program on NIL. Probably different than what you're thinking, though. We built it on God's name, image, and likeness.
Oh, my goodness.
Even for him, dude.
I can't wait to watch him and Dion.
Even for him.
I can't wait to watch him and Dion go to war and who's holier. It's going to be great.
That's one of my favorite things I've ever heard. This is so good. Quickly, throw it up there. Let's talk about it. We're going to be joining forces with the Battle's End in Orlando. The Jeff Cameron Show will broadcast live from the Harry Buffalo, 129 West Church Street, Wednesday, December 28th from 1 to 3. Then Jake Owen will come out. Jake is the undercard. I feel blessed to be the lead there.
Okay.
But Jake, you're welcome. Try to do you a solid. Along with Tyler Reeve and Cole Taylor. They're going to be there too. And yeah, man, it's a free block party.
That's well done. Good job, Battle's End. That's how you ingratiate yourself to the people before you say, hey, we could use some crowdsourcing.
Scott, the answer is Dabo Sweeney. Dabo Sweeney said that. Wuhan. Oh, Wuhan was at it again. Anything else I got to promote? You told me I forgot.
No, just
we're good.
Make sure you float away before the holidays at Tallulah. We
love you, Tallulah. Tom could use some Tallulah tonight. He needs a little Tallulah.
Delta 99.
We'll talk to you tomorrow. Be well. Peace.